When Fight Club first came out, critics didn't just dislike it, they went to war with it. The New York Times said it was a witless mishmash of whiny, overgrown boy behavior. Entertainment Weekly gave it a straight-up F. Roger Ebert called it macho porn and said the movie was cheerfully fascist. One TV host even warned viewers that the film was an invitation to nihilism. But here's the crazy part. Everything they hated is what people love about it today. So how did a movie critics practically tried to bury become one of the most celebrated films of the last 20 years? To understand this backlash, you need to know what 1999 looked like. The film was released just 5 months after the Columbine shooting.
Once again, to recap, 15 people dead, 16 people hospitalized, 5 of them in critical condition.
The most shocking school attack in American history. The country was terrified of youth violence, trench coats, explosives, and any piece of media that looked rebellious.
And there were the outfits, the dark coat and boots associated with Hollywood's more violent scenes.
Fight Club had all of that. It premiered at the Venice Film Festival in September 1999 to walkouts and shocked reactions. Executives at Fox panicked. One Fox producer literally said this is a disaster after the screening. Fincher later said the studio was so nervous they tried to cut a marketing deal with WWE because they didn't know how to sell a movie. Everyone expected chaos before it even hit theaters. When the reviews dropped, they were harsher than anyone expected, and we're not talking light criticism, we're talking scorched earth. Here's some real quotes from the time. Roger Ebert said it's an assault on the senses. Janet Maslin, a witless offering of whiny, overgrown boy behavior. Kenneth Turan, a thriller as empty as an unused soap mold. And The Guardian said, a film so dumb and badly made, it's barely watchable. Entertainment Weekly famously gave it an F rating. Most critics weren't even reviewing the movie. They were reviewing their fear of the culture around the movie. They felt as if it was encouraging violence. They thought Tyler Durden was meant to be a hero. They thought the film endorsed chaos, and they missed that the film was satire, a giant middle finger to the exact toxic masculinity that they accused of celebrating, similar to American Psycho. The marketing hurt it even worse. Instead of leaning into the satire and psychological themes, Fox advertised it as a movie about dudes punching each other in a basement. One poster literally said, "Mischief, mayhem, soap." The studio didn't know what the movie meant, so they sold it like MMA with jokes. That made critics expect shallow violence, and when they got a philosophical takedown of capitalism, they hated it even worse. Even Brad Pitt complained years later, saying the marketing was atrocious. And then Rosie O'Donnell spoiled the entire movie on live TV.
I don't know, they're going to be angry at me now, but if you're a woman or if you have a son, don't let your kids see it. I thought it should have been NC-17. Trust me, you don't want to see it. I'm saving you misery.
Fincher said this hurt the movie's opening weekend because her show was huge at the time. Fight Club flopped hard. Fight Club cost Fox about $63 million to make, and it only earned $37 million domestically. Worldwide, it managed $100 million, which was considered disappointing for stars like Pitt and Edward Norton. By Hollywood standards, that's not great. The studio wrote it off as a loss. Executives blamed Fincher, the marketing, and the violence. But everything changed the moment it left theaters. The movie was too smart for its own release. Fight Club didn't fail because it was bad. It failed because the world wasn't ready for it. It was too edgy for 1999, too philosophical for mainstream audiences. The challenge? The movie needed viewers who weren't scared of what it was saying, which meant it needed to find an entirely new audience. And that audience did not exist in theaters. It existed at home. The DVD release changed everything. Fight Club's DVD release was a turning point. Fox loaded it with commentary tracks, behind-the-scenes footage, Easter eggs, and one of the most creative DVD menus ever made. It didn't just do well, it dominated. By 2003, Fight Club became Fox's top-selling DVD of all time with 6 million copies sold. In the early 2000s, the dot-com bubble had burst. Corporate culture was crushing. People were questioning advertising, identity, dead-end jobs, and the meaning of modern life. The exact things that the movie tackled. Lines like, "Things you own end up owning you," and "You are not your job," were showing up in college dorms, MySpace pages, live journal bios, and early web forums. People became less offended by the movie and more seen by the film. Once people could rewatch the movie at home, a lot of things made more sense. The Starbucks cup in every single scene, the single frame flashes of Tyler, the overlapping dialogue, the unreliable narrator. Critics who originally called the movie stupid or empty suddenly realized how meticulously designed it was. This is the funniest part of the entire story. Years later, major outlets quietly rewrote their opinions. Empire magazine later ranked Fight Club the 10th greatest movie of all time. Total Film placed it in the top 20 films ever made. IMDb listed at the top 15 highest rated films ever made, and Rolling Stone included it in their best movies of the 90s. Roger Ebert eventually admitted later that the film was technically brilliant, even though he stood by it was a disaster at the time. Fight Club didn't change. The world changed. Everything Tyler Durden said, the stuff critics hated the most, ended up being a commentary on the world we live in today. Consumer culture has become louder, advertising has become more personal, loneliness has skyrocketed, corporate life became more chaotic, mental health became a worldwide conversation, people's identities became more fragile. Fight Club wasn't encouraging anarchy, it was warning us about the consequences of losing ourselves in a society obsessed with perfection. Tyler was never the hero. He was meant to be the devil on your shoulder, the voice that tells you to destroy everything instead of dealing with your pain. The brilliance of Fight Club is that the narrator only finds freedom when he finally rejects Tyler. That message aged better than almost any film from the 90s. Fight Club didn't bomb because it was bad, it bombed because it was honest. Critics misread it, studios were scared of it, the audiences weren't ready for it. But time has a funny way of exposing the truth, and 20 years later, Fight Club has outlived every single bad review it's ever faced. Thank you for watching, guys. If you want a movie for me to review, comment down below. And until next time, guys, peace.